Falcon fans. Hope y'all feeling good. Hope y'all feeling great. It is going down in a major way tonight. We have some special guests who will be joining us here on One Time for the Fan, episode 162. Man, we are live and we are lit. Let's get straight to it, Falcon fans, because it's going to be a long show tonight. Comments is already going crazy. Bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat about the team. We got some geniuses in here tonight. We got some great Falcon minds in here tonight who can talk Falcons football with us for hours. I'm glad that you all have a time in your day to come over here and talk Falcons football with us. But let's go ahead and get straight to it. Coming to the podcast first, of course, you guys know this young brother right here, Chase, who's a podcaster with One Time for the Fan. But when he's also out doing his own thing, he got Dirty Fanatics United with his brother. So big shout out to Dirty Fanatics United, who is in the building. We got my boy Chase, got my boy Philip in the building. Chase, Philip, how's everything going? Dirty Fanatics United?
Going good, bro. Can't complain, man. Living life, talking Atlanta Falcon football. Exciting moment to be an Atlanta Falcon fan, that's for sure. A lot of news breaking this off season, and I'm ready to chat it up, man. We got some big names in here today. Let's do it.
Philip?
Man, it's been a week so far, but hey, some good, interesting news. I'm ready to get to it.
Ready to get to it. That's what you want to hear from Falcon fans when it comes to a podcast talking about Falcons football. They are ready to get to it. Coming up next to the podcast, this young brother right here has been on the podcast before with us. So welcoming back to the podcast. Of course, you know, is another content creator who does a great job in the Falcons community, talking about the Atlanta Falcons. My brother, Ricondo, a real Falcons fan, is in the building again. What's up, Ricondo?
What's going on, people? What's going on? Ready to talk some Falcons, man. Gonna be excited. I can't wait to the new league year, man. I'm ready. Free agency. I'm ready for all of it.
You are hearing it from Chase, from Philip, from Ricondo. This is great that you have Falcon fans here, not only in the chat, but right here on the podcast to talk Falcons football with you, because so many questions. Fans, we're trying to do the best we can to read the comments tonight and get through with everything. But we want y'all to know that this podcast, this platform, from us to y'all, is all about the Atlanta Falcons. And this other young brother coming to the podcast tonight, he is just amazing when it comes to Falcons knowledge and, of course, Falcons content that we would love Scott to put out a podcast soon. Don't know why he hasn't, but if he was to put out a podcast, I'm sure he'd get some numbers up pretty quick. Welcoming back to the podcast again, Scott Karisic is in the building. What's up, Scott?
How you doing, man? I was enjoying that Metro Boomin style beat from the intro selection. It's not like the old Kanye stuff that he did for Jay-Z, but it's still pretty good.
Hey, that's my boy Lee Thomas from Tailgate Party Committee. He does a lot on the road with doing tailgates for other fan bases in college football and all other groups, but he's also a producer too as well. So big shout out to Lee Thomas from Tailgate Party Committee. Scott, how's everything been going for you, sir?
Man, I ain't seen you since London.
That's right.
Yeah, man, we were in London getting drunk at the bar together. But man, it's been going good. I'm about to be in the Bahamas next week, so y'all gonna have to keep track of that Raheem Morris presser for me, because I'm gonna be out of the loop for a week.
Hey, for Falcon fans that do not know, the press conference for Raheem Morris is Monday. Some great news I'm gonna mention to y'all on Sunday night, so be prepared for that. That has to be in detail with Raheem Morris's press conference coming up. Scott, a lot going on with the Atlanta Falcons. Chase, Philip, Ricondo, I'm glad you are here to take the time out of your day to talk Falcons football. Let's just go around the board real quick here. Philip, just your thoughts of a quick wrap-up of the season for the Atlanta Falcons for you. I know it was disappointing for most fans because they thought they had the high expectations was there for the team, but they just didn't meet those goals. But just a quick wrap-up of the season for you, Philip.
It was disappointing, like you said, but a lot of parts were a little fun, like the defense finally stepped up, something I haven't seen in years. That was a good, fun thing to see. I like to see the production out of the young linebackers that we had and, some of the DBs as well. And also, with the older guys like on the line, like Calais and all, it was good to see that. And I hope he returns this season. But, offensive-wise, it's good to see that we have young people like Bijan also doing the production that he's doing, also along with Tyler Algier, which I wish we could have seen more of. And also seeing that we finally have our number one receiver, as in Drake London. Other than that, that's like the only exciting parts to me. That was kind of fun.
Lot to go off there. Chase, going over what Philip said. What you got for that, brother? Chase, I think you're muted. Nick, you're muted, Chase.
Yep.
Either that or we should call T-Mobile. Everything good? You good over there?
Shit. I was trying to keep you from hearing me vaping, but like Philip said, man, you started the season off hot. I say hot. You came in, you won 2 games. We all thought Desmond Ridder was the guy. Let's be honest. We came in, thought Ridder was going to lead us to the playoffs, and it didn't happen that way. The team was still another team that had talent and wasn't scoring touchdowns. Like Philip said, you finally seen a top 10 defense in Atlanta, something you haven't seen in years. You can't even say in 2016 because we didn't rank top 10 in 2016. You had a secondary that looked kind of okay. Secondary has been a very weak point for the Atlanta Falcons for consistently years. Okuda kind of looked good until he took some injuries. A lot of questions following into the offseason as far as podcasters and content creators. We're going to have a shit ton of content to talk about in the next few months for however long. It's going to be exciting. As far as the season as a whole, very disappointed as a fan. This was supposed to be the season. This was supposed to be the year. New head coach, new offense coordinator, new DC. Let's start fresh.
Let's do it. Scott, your thoughts on the season wrap-up right here for the Atlanta Falcons?
I mean, it's almost like the team got the memo that a historic collapse is what was going to get rid of Arthur Smith. Mm-hmm. And they seem to want to get rid of Arthur Smith based on their play the last 2 weeks because they just got demoed. The way they lost to the Bears and the Saints in those last 2 weeks, it was almost like a team that was like, you know what? Screw this guy. We don't want this
the Panthers too. You said the Panthers? I'm sorry. I thought you said the Panthers.
No. The Satans, the Saints, the Stains, the Aints. I mean, you can call them whatever you want. Fuck them, but they kicked the shit out of us. Yeah. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, the Bears and the Saints, 2 teams that before the season I would have been like, that should be a win and a win.
Yeah.
Wound up being a loss and a loss. And if those 2 games were just flipped to wins, not only do they win the division, the Falcons don't have a new head coach. I mean, that's 2 games makes a difference. Mm-hmm. But it's like they just gave up right at the end, and they played like they gave up right at the end.
Yeah. Even mentioning the 2 games making a difference, you're going off of just one play. The Kyle Murray play in Arizona, the Josh Dobbs play with the Minnesota game. Certain plays Falcons could have looked at, Falcon fans could look at and say, all you had to do is just finish the game the right way, and we would be in the playoffs and move on the correct way. But Ricardo, I know you was over there doing the Birdman hand, so I know you're ready to talk about some Falcons football. Season wrap up for you, sir, as a content creator and as a fan.
So I think I don't talk about the season long enough. So I'm gonna go on the positive side, glass half full. So what I'm gonna talk about from last season is the young talent that we seen grow. Especially our draft class. Draft class was outstanding. Zach Harrison, Clark Phillips, Nate Landman. That kid, man, I'm telling you, like, I don't know what they're gonna do with Anderson when he comes back, but Nate Landman need to be on the field. We know that the way he played. But that's what I taught. I got most from this season is pretty much just the young talent that we got, and you hope some of those guys have that that jump from year 1 to year 2, and they could contribute even more this season. So that's what I mean. The season was a disappointment. We all know that. It's no other way around it. Nobody expected us not to win that division. All the games you mentioned, we beat better teams than we lost to. So it was just, I think it was meant to be put like that. It happened the way it should have happened. Mm-hmm. Because 2-6 against teams with losing records, just let you know that it was probably time for a change. So
that's unacceptable.
Yeah, and that's why he got fired. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons, because he went 2-6 against team with losing records. Team we shouldn't have lost against. Mm-hmm. And so and you cannot have that when you should have won. We should have won. I mean, the games you mentioned. I mean, Richie Grant played some defense. We probably win some of those games too. So I mean, it's just a lot of things that.
Richie.
I think part of the issue with Richie Grant was, and y'all are gonna hate me for saying this, but might have been coaching. But
hey, I can kind of agree. I can agree.
Yeah,
Falcon fans, if you're looking at the season for the Falcons this year, it was disappointing. But as we get ready for the new season now, I know a lot of fans are excited in the chat about what could happen here with the turnaround, with the change. Going over the coaching staff now, Chase, you're looking at Raheem Morris sitting at the head of the table. Ricardo, I know you're ready to go. Raheem Morris sitting at the head of the table.
Like
then
Roman
you bring
Reigns.
in Zach Robinson. You bring in Jimmy Lake for your defensive coordinator. The coaching staff is starting to get together now. Jay Rogers, Scott, you mentioned that too as well when we were talking earlier. There's some names here that I think a lot of NFL coaches look at our coaching staff and say, holy shit, there's some well-respected guys in the Falcons building right now. And I think we need to look at that and say, this team is already trending up from looking at the coaching staff. Chase, anybody else who wants to piggyback off of that? Looking at the coaching staff this year for the Falcons, Chase, what do you think about it?
The name that stands out to me, Zach Robinson, man. That guy there, a guy that's coached the quarterback, coached the receiver, been the assistant head coach. Now he's finally an offensive coordinator. He's been the passing game coordinator for the Rams. You know, when they won the Super Bowl, he coached up a really nice Matthew Stafford in his first year there in LA. That's not easy to do. I don't know if people remember, you know, Matt Ryan back when he went to the Colts for a year, but that didn't turn out so great. The 1-year deals don't always happen for veterans. So Zach Robinson, man, a guy that still got his team all the way to the playoffs again this season. Something the Falcons haven't done in a while, man. It just excites me to think maybe you've got you another Kyle Shanahan, a Sean McVay, that style coach as an offense coordinator. And I must say, if you do have a Zach Robinson that comes in here and produces like we think he's going to produce, you got to get it, and you got to get it now, because we're seeing it this year. Offensive coordinators are getting head coaching jobs like it's the next thing in the NFL. It happens. The NFL progresses each year. It's just a new thing that's going on. So when you got a good OC, you got to use that OC. As far as a defense coordinator, I will be the first to admit I didn't know much about him. I had to dive in, do some research on him. But from what I could tell, he's definitely a defensive-minded coach. He's got some grit. Some people may take it negative. I take it as a positive. But he's a guy that was actually kicked out of college for
pushing players on the sidelines. Go ahead and say yes.
Yeah. I mean, this guy brings that swag back to the team. You want a gritty defense. This is the guy for it. So I'm excited. I'm ready to see what happens. I'm ready to see this quarterback in Atlanta. Receiver 2. Raheem, so far, man, I give him a B+ from what he's done as far as the coaching staff coming in. So as far as a fan, I'm excited. I'm ready to see what happens.
Ricardo?
So for me, what I appreciate about what Raheem did, first of all, he put guys that he comfortable with around him. Like he's saying, bringing guys that he actually just coached with, a couple coming from the Los Angeles Rams. But the biggest thing for me is the continuity that he kept. Guys like Jerry Gray, I think Jerry Gray being on this team is huge. That's one of the guys I definitely look and see if he was going to retain. Marquise Williams coming back for the special teams. Hopefully we get Avery Williams back.
Dave Huxtable too as well, who was reportedly gone to the Jags. It's not gone. He's still in the building. Yeah,
that's big. And then, of course, don't forget Dwayne Ledford. That's huge for the offensive line. Going to be the run game coordinator. So the continuity to me is the biggest thing that I like, because we kept some things that was really good for us. Like our run game, we didn't show it as well as we did this year that we showed last year, but the run game was always good. So having Dwayne Ledford there, and we know what he did at Louisville, and now he's going to be in charge of the run game in its entirety. That's going to be good. So the continuity from the coaching staff, Raheem Morris, for me, I'm still interested to see who's going to be the linebacker coach. Maybe he brings Frank Bush back. I'm not sure. We'll see. I wouldn't mind having Steven Jackson back as well. So, I mean, but if he bring those, but that's what I like. The way because it wasn't all bad last year. Couldn't score. We couldn't score points. But that defense, he talked about earlier, it was in the top 10. And you want that to progress. You don't want that to go backwards. So that's what I really like about the coaching staff.
Scott, this goes to you too as well. Quick question. You go ahead and probably fill in on this question and answer the coaching staff question. But why did they wait so long for the press conference for Raheem Morris, Scott, and then Philip? And of course, what do you think about the coaching staff, Scott?
So timing wise, the reason why they waited so long for the press conference is this week is Senior Bowl week. Mm-hmm. And they want to fill out their staff before they have the full press conference. So you fill out your staff. That's your first job as a head coach, is fill out your staff.
He did it quickly.
He's still got a lot of spots open, but he's doing it. He's working on it quickly. He got the key important spots quickly.
Yeah.
And then after you get some staff members, you also want to go down to the Senior Bowl and do some scouting. You want to talk to your scouts, make sure you and your scouts are on the same page. I mean, Senior Bowl is the first contact a lot of these coaches get with these players. So you want to make sure these guys have it. And then just kind of going over the coaching staff, it's a great staff. Yep. It's a fantastic staff. Morris, Gray, Jimmy Lake, Zach Robinson, we've all kind of touched on. Fantastic group to work with, right? Just to kind of build and set your scheme in and set what you want to do as a head coach, set the tone. But then you also have to look at some other guys that we haven't even mentioned that they've retained, like TJ Yates and Michael Petrie. Mm-hmm. Those guys are good coaches. Yates was not a wide receiver.
He's
had never played wide receiver, not even at the high school level. And he was, or the middle school level. I grew up at a rival school of TJ Yates. Like, I went to the same elementary school as a kid. Like, dude never played wide receiver. He was always quarterback. He was always the biggest dude throwing the ball around to everybody. So why are we having him teach wide receivers? I get he knows football and all that. Let him teach the quarterbacks. You needed a quarterback coach anyway. So now he's a quarterbacks coach. They're rumored to have brought in KJ Black, who coached the quarterbacks over at Austin P. Yep. Or sorry, maybe it was I think it was Austin P for a couple of years, and was the offensive coordinator down there. Now he's going to be an assistant quarterbacks coach, essentially, as an offensive assistant. Then you bring in Jay Rogers, who Akeem Hicks credits for making him a much better football player and helping him break out with the Bears. Because Akeem Hicks was just okay with the Saints and then got to the Bears and became a dominant force. Mm-hmm. How does that happen? You get a really great coach like Jay Rogers. And Rogers has kind of a hit list that I posted earlier today. But you look at it and you're like, all right, Derek Wolfe, Malik Jackson from the Super Bowl winning Broncos in 2015. Those guys were beasts that year, right? Then you look at the Bears and you've got Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman and those kinds of guys from the Bears. So you got a fantastic staff that he's building. And he's not done. And I think he will end up keeping he'll end up keeping Frank Bush, if I had to guess. And I think he'll end up keeping Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson kind of feels like he's Jesse Bates' personal coach, honestly. Fantastic coach. The reason why I said coaching last year might have been part of the issue with Grant is Grant went from learning one type of scheme, one type of role, and playing deep third to now he's underneath or he's playing cover two, and it's a drastic shift when you're used to being a deep third guy. So he's got to get used to it, and it was like it was his second rookie year last year. Now, I still think Helms is going to beat him out, but
yeah.
And as we get ready, Philip, I know you're getting ready to answer this question too as well, but Scott, set up just quickly for the coaching staff. What are we looking at possibly for the defense when it comes to the scheme? People were talking about it could possibly be a switch from the nickel 2-4-5 that they were running, more so 3-4, more multiple defense. Philip, you can also piggyback off that too as well. Scott?
Probably going to be more of a 34 base. Obviously, nickel's going to be 2-4-5. They're going to run a lot of 3-4-5. 3-3-5.
3-3-5. Nickel 3, yeah.
Yeah, 3-3-5. You're going to see a lot of times they might want to go and roll out with Landman and Anderson and Ellis out there at linebacker. And then on the line, they'll have bigger guys like Harris and Grady and Onyemata playing the line. So you'll have a 3-3-5 with the guy blitzing from somewhere, and you don't know where, because all three of those guys can blitz.
Also, not mentioning who we could pick up in free agency, because we are mentioning some names now, but there's some names that we are going to get to here shortly. Philip, what are you expecting from the coaching staff? And of course, how do you like what you see right now?
Overall, I think, like Chase said, B+, A- at best, B+ at least. My most main thing was moving TJ Yates back to not from wide receiver to QB coach. That was the main thing. Scott said, it didn't make sense. I'm most hyped to see Zach Robinson come in and do what he did in LA. Maybe we can turn this offense around and start moving the ball more than what we did. Scoring wasn't a problem because we did score, but be more consistent than what it was. With running it with Smith.
No, we need to score more.
Mm-hmm.
We were like bottom 8 in scoring. We need to score more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had some games you were at 28 points with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, and that declined.
Some games, Chase. Some games. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We have a lot of Falcon content creators here talking Falcons football with us. Also, we have Scott Karisic here. Scott, are you still writing for Blogging Dirty too as well?
Yep. Been with Blogging Dirty for over a year and a half now.
Nice.
Been enjoying it. And I don't do the podcasting thing because I just don't have the time in my schedule to do a regular podcast. But I was doing this thing with Pro Sports Fans, Pro Sports Fans, where you get on the app and we talk during the games. Me and Lieutenant Dan were going over all the games. Y'all should check it out. It's pretty awesome. We'll get some of y'all in next year for sure.
We'd love it. We'd love to.
Yeah, sure.
Falcon fans, going to the next topic here. I know the chat is lit. Chat is live. Move over to coaching staff here. Free agents. Falcon fans, because we got a little bit of money to spend. We're not the deepest team in the league when it comes to money. I don't even think we're in the top 10 as I go over the most cap space. You have the Cardinals at $42 million, the Bears at $46, Bucks at $47, Lions at $58, Bengals at $59, Colts at $62, the Patriots at $66, the Texans at $69, Titans at $71, and the Commanders come in at $73 million this season. So the Falcons, I think we're pushing what, Scott, close to 35, 40?
I mean, it says 35, 40, but the official NFLPA documents are going to list more. Honestly, the team documents are probably going to list even more because there's certain things like escalators and such that don't get counted until the next league year. And then there's also going to be the factors that you'll have to see with like who they're going to cut. Like Taylor Heineke's going to free up $7 million. That's an easy cut. I think Lorenzo Carter gets cut. That's a quick $3 million. So, I mean, functionally, they're probably closer to about 50, 55. And that's more than enough to build out a roster, especially when you already have a roster as strong as what the Falcons have going into the offseason. Only real gigantic holes you see are quarterback and wide receiver depth. And then after that, maybe a premier pass rusher, and then a lot of depth spots like cornerback 2, maybe, competition for it at least. So a lot of depth competition type spots, not exactly like I need a fucking starter type spots.
And if you're going over some of the free agents, because you have some money, Ricondo, Logan Ryan's a free agent. Going over just some of the cornerbacks, Shaquille Griffin, Jalen Mills, Jordan Lewis, Steven Nelson, Emmanuel Mosley, Kenny Moore, Jeff Okudah, Michael Davis, Dory Jackson, L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Johnson from the Bears. That's just the cornerback group, but looking at the linebackers group too as well, some of the offensive linemen too as well that's available coming into free agency. You're going to spend some money somewhere. Any names for you, Ricondo, as we get ready to talk free agency here, Falcon football, Falcon fans in the chat? Any names that stick out for you in the free agency?
Well, it depends. It depends on. So we know one thing. Terry Fontenot background is pro scouts, right? So what he did last year, which I thought was really impressive, was they went and got a lot of veterans, from the free agency market. And then, in the draft, you can create your depth. So for me, I think should be 1A priority should be trying to get a pass rusher. Don't know the status of a guy like Brian Burns, what they're going to actually do in Carolina. He would definitely be one of the guys top of my list. If they franchise tag him, of course, then
I think he's tagged.
Yeah, he probably end up being tagged. But that's a guy you want to think about. And then we talked about the coaching staff, and you think about some of the relationships with some of these players out there. Like, for an example, Jimmy Lake, he coached Budda Baker, he coached Vita Vea, those guys. So, these guys got reputation, and some of these guys that probably going to either end up becoming free agents or, being cap casualties themselves because, there's some of their teams trying to start over, like the Cardinals, for an example. So it's going to be interesting to see, when it shakes out, what kind of free agents. And I think when you pull it back, Raheem Morris got a lot of respect around the league too. So a lot of players might want to play for this team. So I'm right off the bat. The needs, I know we need a pass rusher. Of course, we need wide receivers because we only got one on the contract right now. We probably need some linebackers. I feel like we need another safety. But
I don't think those are spots you got to go to free agency for, though.
No. Some of those are depth, like you said. So definitely depth.
Linebackers,
some of those.
Safety. That's more of draft. Wide receiver, you can get like a mid-tier one in free agency for like a wide receiver 2, and then draft like 2 guys, one in the second, one in the fourth, to build out your depth there. Bring back Hodge, bring back Hollins on cheap contracts. Like, some of these spots you can fill cheaply and still have depth, But like linebacker, I feel like that might be putting too much money into one spot where you already got a really strong group. Where edge, you could do something crazy like bring in Khalil Mack on the cap cut, maybe bring in Leonard Floyd, talking about connections.
Tied to Jay Rogers,
played for the Rams. Get both those guys, Floyd and Mack, have them rotate in with AK and Malone off the edge. Really have some fun there. I think that could be an interesting thought process too.
Ricano, it's big that you talk about relationships because Dirty Fanatics United, as we get ready to head over to you about free agents. When Ryan Nielsen came over, the relationship that he had, of course, with Caden Ellis and Amiyada and those guys, then he came over. It was big for us because we were like Saints players as Falcon players now. It is what it is, but there are some relationships that coaches do have with players that when they become free agents, it's possible that they could end up playing here for Atlanta because they do respect the Raheem Morris. They do respect the Zach Robinson. They do respect a Jay Rogers and a Jimmy Lake. So it's possible that we could see some familiar faces that the coaching staff knows here when it comes to the free agency. But you got a little bit of money to spend. You're not the richest team in the NFL coming this offseason. But Chase, going to you and Phillip, any free agents that stuck out to you this offseason? Some fans mentioned Daniel Hunter. Some fans mentioned go after a wide receiver too. The inside linebackers free agency is looking good right now. What names stand out to you, Chase?
A name that I got to entertain at receiver 2 is T. Higgins, a free agent that plays like a receiver 1. I think you got to at least entertain the fact. You definitely bring him in for an interview, check him out, see what kind of contract he's talking about. You could do like Scott's saying, you could find a mid-tier receiver, go that route with receiver 2. But I'm not so sure that Hollins or Hodge will be back as far as Arthur Smith being gone. Hodge is kind of that guy for Smith, has been since he's been in Atlanta anyway. But I would love to see a new receiver too, a T. Higgins, maybe in Atlanta. There's also, like you said, this is a deep draft as well. There's younger guys you could draft, maybe a later round McConkey, late 2, late 3, maybe.
So
just some guys to throw out there.
So T. Higgins, the Bengals just mentioned they're going to franchise tag him. So
they are.
Yeah, they mentioned that. I saw that yesterday. So yeah, I was like, damn. I was like,
a name you can't ignore.
Yeah, so they said they're going to franchise tag him because, you definitely he will be gone quick if you don't put that tag on him. So he'll go somewhere else. So they mentioned that yesterday.
Oh, good. You want to fill that Hollins role? That's fine. You got Josh Reynolds from the Lions. Played for the Rams. I mean, hell, you might even be able to bring Ridley back.
That's what I was going to
say. That would be crazy.
That's not the first time I've heard that too as well.
and I personally like Michael Pittman from the Colts. I know a lot of people say he's very comparable to Drake London, but you want to build your staff like your wide receiver core like a basketball team. So if Drake's your center, Pittman's your power forward, you need a point guard, a shooting guard, and a small forward. That's what you grab in the draft. Get your fast, quick, young guys in the draft. And I don't know how Hodge is so connected to Arthur Smith. because he was playing for the Lions for 4 years before he came here.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not super connected really to anybody. He's just saw an opportunity and took it.
Him as soon as he got here.
I think he's more connected with Marquise Williams.
Yeah, he's an excellent special
teams.
Yeah,
I think
that's what keeps him on NFL teams, not just the Falcon, but NFL teams. Because as a gunner, he's one of the best out there. So that's why Hutch continue to get jobs. Let's be honest. So that's why.
Philip, any names you looked at?
Well, a minute ago, I was gonna say Calvin Ridley could be one, possibly. You know, and like Jay said, T. Higgins. But before I found out the info about him being a franchise, that would be something to be fun to entertain. One of those two is like for a wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I really haven't seen a whole lot that I want to be focused on just yet. But I'm just still looking. But as of right now, those are two names.
The Kirk Cousins thing was fun until we got up the price tag.
So even going to quarterback, because there are going to be some free agent quarterbacks that's going to be available as we get ready. And you see, we're going over these topics. We're taking it light right here because we get ready to go to draft and quarterback. It's going to pick up here in the chat because
definitely.
There's a lot going on when it comes to teams that need quarterbacks and names that could get crazy as we get closer to the draft. But quick question here for everybody on the panel. Scott, and what did you like about Senior Bowl practice? Anything that you saw? I know there are some Falcon content creators out there, Miles Garrett's out there. Anybody in the chat? Anybody see anybody at Senior Bowl?
I don't follow. I haven't watched the Senior Bowl practice since I was there in person in 2015 and learned it's more for scouts to sit there and just BS around and kind of watch practice. Because I was noticing dudes and then being like, listen, this Marpet guy is pretty damn good. You got to watch him. And then I stood there with all the offensive line coaches going, you see how he anchors? That's how you want your guy to anchor. Who's that guy in the orange helmet?
Mm-hmm.
And the line coaches knew who the kid was and told their scouts. So sometimes it's frustrating, but.
Yeah. So for me, the receivers, like you mentioned, it's a lot of receivers. It's a deep class for receivers. The kid out of Michigan, he's having a good senior bowl. Of course, Lat McConkey, mentioned him.
I saw some tape of him today too as well. He was
doing the same stuff he was doing out in Georgia. Of course, the quarterback's going to be the talk. Penix Jr. The word out, Bo Nix didn't look that good today. I don't know.
Saw a couple ducks.
Bo Nix ain't looked good in years, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's going crazy right now on NFL Network.
People thinking Bo Nix going to shoot up on draft boards, but I mean he was in SEC for 3 years, so I know.
So let's get to
it, man.
Let's get to it. When it comes to quarterbacks, is Michael Penix playing in the Senior Bowl because his draft stock has dropped and he is not top 5? Because why would you be playing in the Senior Bowl?
Michael Penix was never a top round guy, according to NFL scouts. No one ever considered him a top guy. He's got second round film, and he's the 4th best quarterback in this draft. I will go to arms with that. He's definitely the 4th best quarterback in this draft, but he's a second round talent. And then he has a lot of worries with injuries. He has 2 shoulder surgeries. He has 2 knee injuries. I mean, he's a punching bag, essentially. How long is he even going to be in the league? And he's already coming in at 24 years old. Ritter's 24. So, like, how much does he really provide you over a guy who has 2 years in the league? Honestly, outside of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft and, like, Kirk Cousins and Justin Fields, unless you're, like, taking a flyer on Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston, which fuck Jameis Winston, I'm not interested in any other quarterback this offseason as an actual upgrade. I don't see them as an upgrade. And Darnold would be a flyer, and just because he was drafted high and he's been under Shanahan for a year learning how to play the damn game.
Falcon fans, as we get ready to go around this table about the quarterback issue, this is about to, raise some eyebrows here. I know Ricardo has a lot to say. Philip, Chase, Scott, we're going to go back to you two as well. But I've said it before a lot on this podcast. I talked about it, Chase, in the chats. How many teams need quarterbacks this offseason? How many teams need quarterbacks between now and next year, too, as well? They are ready to make a move now. Talks of Denver now wanting to get up into the top 5 to go get a big guy. The Vikings, when you hear Justin Jefferson say, I want to play with a young, flashy star quarterback, when you hear those type of comments and you look at the quarterback list, that's available. You're looking at Russell Wilson, Scott. I mean, everybody correct me if I'm wrong. You're looking at Russell Wilson, barring what happens June 1st, right, Scott?
So the Russell Wilson situation, there's the June 1st. You can designate someone as a June 1st cut and cut them on the first day of league year. That way you don't have to pay them their bonuses or give them any of their guarantees, but the cap effect doesn't take effect for your team and your team only on June 1st. But if they do that, that means they owe him $37 million this year. And it's offsettable. But the only way that offset comes off is if a team gives him that money. So you could technically sign Russell for anything under $37 million, and you're still screwing over the Broncos. The best way to do that, though, is to talk Russell Wilson into, hey, these people traded for you and then cut you and they pissed you off. I'm going to give you a vet minimum signing bonus deal, which is a third year. It pays out at like 1.5, but hits the cap as a third year spot, right? Third year contract, vet minimum deal. So you're paying this guy on the cap $1.1 million to come and be your quarterback. If Russell Wilson comes here and takes that deal, that's the only way I'm interested. You get to say fuck you to Sean Payton. So win-win. And Russell Wilson comes here. He gets to come to Sierra's home. You know, got all that to deal with, but whatever. He can meet Future finally, right? And Future can have more time with his kids. Like,
that's tough.
Everybody's happy, right?
If you go over it now, Scott, I don't want to cut you off. If you go over it,
Wilson's a mentor at that point.
Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins. We just heard the news about Kirk Cousins about what he potentially could want.
Yeah,
I don't see that as a target for us right there.
So that money, that contract that gets sent out, that gets leaked out, that kind of stuff always gets leaked out by agents to their friends in the media who Russell or Kirk Cousins has like CAA or one of the big names, and they're releasing it through Rappaport or Schefter or one of those names, right? Pelissero, those big names. It's done to see what the reaction would be to that number. It's not done for anything else. Because he can't negotiate with these teams until March. So he floats that number out through the media, and then all the teams are like, haha, good luck getting that. We'll pay him like $15 million on a 1-year prove you're healthy contract max. That's what I think Kirk Cousins is getting.
Yeah,
I don't think I think he can get that. And because Daniel Jones
35 years old coming off an ACL, 35 years old.
Daniel Jones got $40 million.
Worse. The NFL
Say it, Ricondo. It got $40 million.
Yeah, Daniel Jones got $40 million. I think Kirk Cousins can get that. He won't get it from the Falcons, I hope. Hell no. I think a team that thinks that, because he first got to show that he's healthy. Of course, he came off Achilles injury. That's a big injury, but not for him because he's not mobile like that anyway. But I think he can get $45 million. I do. I really believe he can. I think because the quarterback market is ridiculous right now. And if Daniel Jones come in and demand that much money for his production that he put out there, you know, I believe Kirk Cousins have shown enough. He only won one playoff game. I understand, but the numbers he's put up, he could probably get that $45 million from a team.
Dirty Fanatics United, we're getting ready to go to you. Falcon fans, Russell Wilson, you heard the information about him. If he's available, that's the name to look at. Kirk Cousins, we talked about him too as well on this podcast. Justin Fields, the Chicago move is something to look at too as well, because you don't have that many quarterbacks available this offseason. You're either going with a couple guys that's a veteran. You're going with Russell, Justin Fields, if Chicago lets go of him, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Josh Dobbs, Gardner Minshew. We finna bring Gardner Minshew in here? Is that what we finna do, Falcon fans? It's not about to happen. And if you go to your draft, you have Caleb Williams, you have Drake May, you have Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. So some team is finna get left out of a quarterback here, but the Falcons desperately need a quarterback. Scott, you didn't mention about the Desmond Ridder situation earlier, but if we take Desmond Ridder out of this situation, Chase and Phillip, what are you doing at quarterback? You're playing GM right now. You're playing head coach right now, Chase. What are you doing right now, knowing that the quarterback was a big issue for us last year? You're now sitting in the offseason to where I just mentioned the names. Outside of Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew, that's how bad the list is going to get after that. It's pretty fucking bad. So, Chase, what are you doing right now? Just your thoughts about the quarterback issue. Draft.
You said with no backup. You said Ritter's going to?
Ritter, because you're doing the QB3 thing. Of course, you know with the rule, the San Francisco rule, you have to have 3 quarterbacks. I think Taylor's out of here because you're going to save $7 million. You do keep Ritter on the roster, so you're going to have to go out there and get a vet, obviously. So, or if you're not doing that, you're going to go straight rookie. I think the Houston Texans method is being applied here from the Falcons. The new GM over there in Houston, the new head coach over there, how they set up the defense, how they set up the offense. They drafted a young star quarterback, new OC, new DC. I like that shit. But when it comes to the Falcons now, what are we going to do, Chase?
It truly just comes down to what Raheem and Blank and Terry and all those sit down and talk about, the vision for this team. It really just comes down to what they decide to do as far as if they're going for that young quarterback, franchise quarter, to be that franchise quarterback, or if you're going for a vet to possibly make this a one-year run and go get a Super Bowl. I'm not sure what that may be, but I just don't see you're not going to give Kirk that much money. You're probably not. If Russell signs for a vet minimum, I'm definitely cool with that. That could be a definite move. I'd take him, and then possibly maybe still draft somebody to. And I don't know. Maybe you could proceed Ritter from a Russell Wilson. Who knows? I don't know what their plan is from that, but I would love to see a young quarterback drafted. Start this thing off right. Get somebody young. Try to work him in, proceed him to who he will be. Franchise quarterback Jaden Daniels is who I would love to see in Atlanta. They could be somebody else they grab, but Jaden Daniels is my favorite pick.
Chase, Phillips, Scott, don't forget now when you go to the draft, you're looking at number 1, the Bears. They're probably going quarterback if you see Fields hit the market.
So
number 2 with the Commanders, they're probably going quarterback. 3 with the Pats, they're probably going quarterback.
Nope.
So Scott, you're gonna get Philip. I gotta go to you, and then you're gonna go to Scott. I know you said no. Philip, what you got about the quarterback issue? And then Scott, get ready to speak on it.
Like Chase said, preferably I want the young quarterback coming in, start fresh, with the new head coach, But if we do end up going the veteran route, the only one I see fit, capable, and he's been doing it for many years is Russ. Obviously, also Kirk, but not willing to give the man that much in a contract.
But we know Russ just shaked out a shit ton of money in Denver and what he's done in Seattle. You think he's going to come over here and play for the minimum over here? Well, at his career?
It's just like Scott said, man.
26 touchdowns, 9 picks, 3,000 plus yards.
But
he's still getting paid.
He's still getting paid that money from the Broncos. He's not going to make more than 37. So you might as well just say fuck you to the Broncos and grab his minimum contract.
Yeah, he's getting cash. He's straight.
Yeah.
He makes the same money either way. He's getting paid by the Broncos to play for whoever his next team is. I guarantee you Russ is going to take a minimal deal. It may not be a minimum deal, but it may be a minimal, like 1 year, $5 million type deal.
Scott Ricondo going around the board. If the Bears release Justin Fields, are you on the phone?
Yes.
If the Bears are trading Justin Fields, absolutely.
Now, are they
why? Why? Let's go around the board on why. Because now he brings the issue of what are the Falcons going to do at quarterback? You now hear the Vikings saying that they possibly might be looking into the top 5. You hear the Giants talking about they might be looking at a quarterback. You hear the Broncos even mention it. Other teams outside of the top 10 might even move up. The Raiders need a quarterback. This is teams that are out.
See, but that puts the Falcons in a great position because they have the highest pick of all these teams that need a quarterback. They have the most advantageous position because they have a roster that's pretty much already built out and ready for a quarterback when you've got a number 1 tight end, number 1 running back, number 1 wide receiver, number 2 tight end, number 2 running back. You've got a lot of pieces already in Atlanta. So what you can do is you can build out your roster. And then if, say, the draft comes around, right, and your roster is basically built out outside of quarterback and wide receiver 2, right? And those are only 2 real big holes. Everything else on the roster is pretty much got starters, and you're looking for those 2 spots in depth. Well, say the Bears the day before. Either they go, hey, we're trading Justin Fields, or hey, we're trading the number 1 pick. One of those 2 things is going to happen because that's their choices. If they choose to stick with Fields, you trade for that number 1 overall pick. And that number 1 overall pick might cost you an arm and a leg. But if you've built out your entire roster outside of that, and you're really just worried about a little bit of depth here and there, and then a quarterback, you trade up to number 1. You grab Caleb Williams. I know everybody loves Jaden Daniels, but let's be honest.
Caleb Williams, straight. Caleb Williams is cool. I just
Caleb Williams is better.
Cool.
Can we expect Raheem, a new head coach, to trade up to number 1 on his first move as the head coach and go get Caleb Williams? Is that what it is?
Absolutely, because he's going to say, I want to set myself up long-term for the future. I want my franchise 15-year Matt Ryan kind of guy. I'm going to go up, trade up for the 21-year-old Caleb Williams, who by the time he's in year 15, he's 36. We still might have 4 more years with this guy. At that point, I plan on being here his entire contract, his entire life in Atlanta, and I'm going to set him up with offensive coordinators that run the same similar kind of scheme all the time. And we're going to have the Caleb Williams scheme the same way that the Indianapolis Colts had the Peyton Manning scheme. Same
Going
way
over
the
there for
Patriots
Condo.
had the Brady scheme.
Yeah, so for me, this whole quarterback discussion, it all comes down to Chicago. It all comes down to what Chicago is going to do. It really does. But I'm on team go get a young quarterback. That's just me. But I don't believe.
Thank you.
I don't believe that Chicago, the Commanders, or the Patriots. I know you say the Patriots no, but I think they all taking a young quarterback.
Gerald Mayo's comments about him getting the biggest position he needs for his franchise at 3, and they benched their 2 quarterbacks last year. I think for Mayo, it's the quarterback, right?
Yeah, I just think they're gonna go quarterback. I really do, because
I think they're gonna sign a quarterback.
But so do you think they take one of those veterans?
I think either they're gonna sign Cousins and say, listen, at 3 we could take the 3rd best quarterback who may not fit what our new OC wants, or we can wait a year, work it out with Kirk Cousins for a couple of years, and go from there. Patriots have functionally $100 million in cap space.
Okay.
So if they want to fit in a Kirk Cousins $35 million a year deal, they can fit that in and still have
66, and they're going to probably get to close to 100 million when they're done with the restructures. Ricardo, any thoughts on what Scott is saying about those moves?
Yeah, I get it, but see, even that, I don't want to move up to number 3 because I don't want the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. I want the best quarterback in the draft. I mean, that's just me. If I'm going to get a young quarterback, I want the best one. So
I love to hear that.
That's why what I'm saying is Chicago.
Is it Caleb Williams though, or is it the Heisman Trophy winner?
It's Caleb Williams.
It's Caleb Williams probably.
That's where the hype's at.
But I wouldn't be upset with Jaden Daniels neither. I think that kid's gonna be electric. I mean, because that's what the NFL is going, man. That kid, the way he moved with the ball and putting it with Zach Robinson, I think he could, accentuate what he does really well. So I wouldn't be upset with Jaden Daniels, but I mean, if you're going to go for it. Go get the best guy. Like I said, so it's up to Chicago. If Chicago say they're keeping Justin Fields, hey, let's see, can we move up to that number 1 spot and get our guy? Because to your point, we got number 8. We probably have to give up some draft capital, but we closer than anybody else. Broncos, I don't know what they're thinking. They gave away all their draft capital to get Russell Wilson. So
you're getting rid of Russell. You know they're going to go get a quarterback. They're not going to rat it out with this backup they got over there.
What capital they got? What draft capital they got though?
They don't. That's the thing. They don't have the draft capital.
They're sitting at what, 12? That's all they got?
They got 12.
They gave away for Russell Wilson though. They pretty much gave a lot of their picks away to get him. So I thought that was like, that's crazy for them to see if they're going to move up. So Atlanta to me had the best opportunity. Now, if Justin Fields become available, that means we're not getting one of the top 3, in my opinion. I think they're going to go 1, 2, 3, unless the 3rd one to be the third best quarterback. So I would trade for Justin Fields. That's what I would do.
You could get him for
I wouldn't give up a 1st round pick for him though.
You could get him for a 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him. I wouldn't give a 1st round pick for Justin Fields. But it would be if this is my thing. If they want to help Justin Fields out because they trade him, they say they like him, they just think he need a fresh start. Well, send him home. Send him to Atlanta. That's his home. Send him home. Like, we're gonna help you out. You want to go to Atlanta? We're gonna send you to Atlanta. Give him that 2nd round pick. I think we're gonna have a pick, extra pick in day 2 anyway, because of Calvin Ridley. somewhere around there. So we're gonna have a day 2 pick. So we should be fine giving up that second round pick for Justin Fields. He's 25. He's still got stuff to grow on, but I think with Zach Robinson,
a lot of stuff to grow on.
Right. I mean, but what Zach Robinson did with Baker Mayfield, what he did with, like you said, Matthew Stafford, what he was doing with Carson Wentz while he was there, I think he can help out Justin Fields, man.
I think he could help
and
out
put an
Ritter.
offense around him for him to be really good.
If we're going with the Houston type of formula, new OC, first time, Zach Robinson, you'd want to get a young stud, right, Scott? I mean, you must be targeting one of these young guys.
That's the thing, though. With this draft, I think that you got 3 really great options at quarterback.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got Caleb Williams, who is like a poor man's Pat Mahomes right now, and you got to mold him into being that next. Now, I don't think he's going to be as good as Pat Mahomes, but Pat might be the best quarterback we've ever seen in the league.
Still young and still got time to grow, but he's getting ready to win another championship. Yep.
Like young Michael Jordan right now is what we're seeing.
Ridiculous.
So you might have the next Pat Mahomes and Caleb Williams. I think you've got the next Andrew Luck in Drake May. And I think in Jaden Daniels, you got the next Lamar Jackson.
There you go.
But past those guys, there's not a franchise guy in this draft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky if you get 2 franchise guys in the same draft.
So you're not sitting at 8, Scott. You're not waiting. You can't sit at 8.
I'm not waiting. You can't wait and hope that Michael Penix is that guy, because he's not. As much as
that's like drafting Desmond Ritter again. Like
shit, Ricondo.
I mean, I think he's better than Ritter.
And I like Ritter.
The comment went all the way down here.
And I like Ritter. I think Ritter is probably like your next Kirk Cousins type guy, where he comes up and he's kind of crap for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he has a breakthrough. I think that's what we're going to see from Ritter, and I think he could have that kind of breakthrough with us. But maybe he goes elsewhere and does it, and that's okay if that happens. But we're sitting here acting like every single quarterback is this fantastic next great quarterback. That's not the case. Not all these guys are better than what we already have. Honestly, almost all these guys suck compared to what we already have, because they haven't seen 2 years of NFL ball, even though it was under a schmuck like Arthur Smith. They haven't seen 2 years of NFL ball. They don't know what the league looks like. They don't have an idea. They don't have this staff. Now, Ritter performing as well as he did under Arthur Smith, when you sit here and watch what his schemes were, honestly, I'm more impressed than that, because I'm like, this kid's actually decent if Arthur Smith knew what the hell he was doing.
Shit. No. Yeah. Ricondo, piggyback off that. Chase, I got a question for you. Go ahead, Ricondo.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about. I think Arthur Smith failed. He failed Desmond Ritter. The problem, only thing I got with Desmond Ritter, like, he can't throw the deep ball. I mean, because he couldn't.
He's got the arm for it. He's got the arm for it. Okay, so Van Jefferson runs the wrong route. Here's the thing: he connects with Drake London on the deep, but he can't connect with Van Jefferson on the deep.
Maybe that's more. You're talking about the one he threw it, and Drake London made the most spectacular.
Yeah, Drake did. Drake did have to get some credit.
That was a bad throw.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking about that throw.
Yeah, I mean
that was.
I like Ritter.
Ball.
Don't get me wrong.
That was
I was rooting for
YOLO
Ritter,
ball.
but to me, I just don't think too many turnovers, man. Just that last one he threw.
I agree.
I don't understand that crap, man. That was just bad. In Carolina, that was the probably worst pass I seen. Like, what are you doing, man?
What's crazy is they ran that same play against the Saints, and he threw it for a 15-yard completion. He learns from his mistakes. That's the thing. That's what I'm telling you. That's part of the reason why I kind of like him. I'm like, I mean, he fucks up, but he learns. Next time he sees that in game, he makes the right breed. Yep. Like,
I mean, I do agree with that. He kind of realizes what he do, because from what he did in Jacksonville and London. I'm sorry you guys went to London and saw that too. You guys was at that game.
Yeah.
So what he did in Jacksonville,
Scott, we were there.
Learned from that.
Scott, we were there.
Because he was staring down his receivers in Jacksonville. Like, that game, he was staring them down big time.
That was tough. Chase, you saw me in the chat. You saw me in the chat that day. I was sitting right there like, bro, this is fucking tough.
I mean, maybe I don't even want to put this out there, but maybe Zach Robinson can work with Ritter. Maybe you guys are right.
That's what I'm saying. He's finally got a QB coach in TJ Yates.
Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield look good. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he can work with Desmond Ritter, but I after watching the championship game and the playoffs, I want a dynamic quarterback, man. I'm sorry, I want me a Lamar Jackson and a Patrick Mahomes. I know that's way top level, but I just want somebody that can
risk
get
it
it done.
to get that.
We ain't got a franchise quarterback. We don't even know got a place to start, man.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe. We got some diehard Atlanta Falcon fans here, not only in the chat, but on the podcast, Talking Falcons Football. Scott Karisic from Block and Dirty. We have Ricondo, a real Falcon fan. Chase checking in from not only One Time for the Fan, but Dirty Fanatics United. Chase, I got to ask you a question here. You hear, because we talk in the chat all day, you see the talks of Denver possibly wanting to be involved. You see the talks of the Giants mentioning we might be looking into a quarterback. You see the other teams that's outside of the Falcons that need a quarterback. I'm going to touch on that too as well. Chase, what are you doing right now if you do not go after the free agent quarterbacks? You're getting to the draft day and you don't have a quarterback. That means you're going to be aggressive right there at the draft, right? If you go into the draft with no quarterback, that means you're walking out of the fucking draft with a quarterback. Am I right?
Well, if you're walking out of free agency, you're gonna know days before the draft if you're trading up for a quarterback. You're definitely, if you're going to enter the draft without a quarterback, you're gonna for sure know if you hold that number 1 or number 2 spot before the draft starts. I believe. I think that's a move they go ahead and make early. They go ahead and get that situated before draft night. Maybe it's something they wait until draft night to see who calls, who wants to move up or who wants to move down, whatever that may be. But if you're going into the draft without a vet quarterback on this roster, you're definitely drafting a rookie quarterback.
Ricondo, then Scott, how crazy can this draft get when it comes to draft night with the moves that's going to be made? We heard last year, we knew the Panthers made their decision about trading that pick earlier, so we knew that was going to happen. But what could happen this year? Any crazy scenarios, things that you've been thinking about, Ricondo, that can happen? Scott, going to you next. How crazy can this draft get? You're sitting there, you're at the draft party, you're with your Falcon friends, or you're doing your content, and then next thing you know, it's like Bears have traded the pick or Washington have traded the pick. What have you guys been thinking could happen on draft night, Ricondo?
So Scott mentioned New England, right? Mm-hmm. They decided to go veteran. So I think the Chase point, I think we'll know a lot, before the draft. I think because especially when it comes to free agency, because a lot of these quarterbacks, especially a lot of these veteran quarterbacks, going to get signed during free agency. So that's going to give us a little info. But you think about the draft, it is some non-quarterbacks that's really talented in this draft. It's real talented non-quarterback. So they could throw a wrench in it too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What his name? The receiver, Marvin Harris Jr. He could throw a wrench in it. He's talented, man. I don't see none one of those 3 teams taking it. But what about just say Sam Howell in the Commanders, right? What if they actually like what Sam Howell did last year?
Jack, who asked you that the other day?
Who's coaching him?
Yeah, we don't know the coach.
Me and Chase went back and forth. I said he's done. I said Washington's
I don't know,
done with
man.
Sam Howell.
We don't know though, because Dan
especially
Quinn,
with Ben Johnson not going to the Commanders. That to me, that move was a for sure. Washington go gets a fresh quarterback for a new head coach.
It's going to be Bill Belichick and Russell Wilson in Washington.
So what if
Dan Quinn and Russell Wilson?
Dan Quinn goes to the Commanders, right? And then they bring Eric Bieniemy back as their OC. Bring Eric Bieniemy. I mean, Sam Howell. So
Bieniemy ain't getting the head coaching job anytime soon. So might as well.
So he might come back as the OC, because right now it looks like Dan Quinn. It might be the guy because McDonough went to the Seahawks.
Yep.
Ben Johnson, Slovic say they're going back to their teams. Dan Quinn really the only other guy out there, right?
Yeah.
Unless you go,
Aaron
Mike Daniel, yeah.
Mike Vrabel, Mike Vrabel.
But Mike Vrabel would get Russell Wilson too.
Yeah. I don't know why Bill didn't interview with nobody
Vrabel
else.
Would say, let's get a second-round quarterback. Let's get Penix.
Yeah. Oh, Anthony Weaver seems to be the top candidate for Washington right now. Apparently, Anthony Weaver.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay. So
maybe on the league, 5 minority coaches in one cycle. If that happens, I'd like that.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see how it shakes out, man.
I know Canellis looks like a white guy, but he's a Mexican dude.
Shit. Yeah. Throwing a curveball at Scott here. If you go into the free agency, don't get a quarterback.
Okay.
Go into the draft, don't get a quarterback, is it the Russell Wilson move? Is that what it is?
I think you'd already made the Russell Wilson move at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that Russell Wilson move with the idea that sitting behind Russ for a year, maybe Zach Robinson goes, hey, maybe I can fix Ritter. Because he saw something that he liked. And maybe about halfway through the year, Russ starts stinking up the joint. They throw Ritter out there, and then we all sit here looking like morons for crushing on this kid.
Shit.
And this kid just lights up the world.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's the great part about this part of the season. This part of the year. No one knows what the hell's going to happen.
I think Vegas is real interesting too, because I think they need a quarterback as well.
You got to throw the Raiders in the mix. Tennessee is even in front of us. Are they going to go with Will Levis? They got to go get a veteran. Are they going to keep Will Levis and Malik Willis?
I think Will Levis with Brian Callahan as his coach, man, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think
so many different concepts.
Yeah.
Levis is the perfect quarterback for Bill Callahan.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin mentioning that they're going to bring some competition to challenge Kenny Pickett. The Steelers even mentioning that.
They're not trading up.
They have
Arthur Smith.
They got Arthur Smith, man. He go fit Kenny Pickett, man.
So Arthur Smith's between the 7 to 10 or 11 teams that need quarterbacks and about 7 to 8 quarterbacks available, somebody's going to get asked out. Somebody's going to end up as Josh Dobbs as their starting quarterback next year because they didn't make the right move. If you're hearing comments like Gerard Mayo saying we need to get the best position that's big for our franchise, Mac Jones having a horrible year with the Patriots, Zappy being where he was, Sam Howell, getting benched over there in Washington. Some of these teams ahead of us could go 1, 2, 3 at quarterback. But
here's the thing. Let's say you get Mac Jones for a 5th round pick.
No, Scott.
Yes.
No.
Man.
I'm saying.
Stop.
Let's say you get Mac Jones for a 5th round pick.
Stop, man. Stop. We just talked about we want a new age quarterback. Mac Jones is like going back in time.
Matt Ryan.
No,
he's back to Matt Ryan.
No, he's slower than Matt Ryan. He's slower than Matt Ryan, man.
It's possible you could miss out on 1, 2, and 3 if you're not very aggressive. But if Fields becomes available before the draft, Scott Chase, Ricondo, you might have to pick up the phone and call the Bears. Even looking at Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, I don't want to be asked out because we didn't be aggressive free agency, and then we get to the draft and we couldn't get our guys, and then we're settling fucking Bo Nix in the second round because we got fucking asked out.
We ain't taking Bo Nix in the second round. That kid's a 4th round quarterback, man. I'm telling you right now, Bo Nix sucks.
So Fields got 2 years left on his contract. So everybody's saying we're gonna have to pay him. Well, you really don't. You can hold off, right? Because he's going into the 4th season. Yes, you had to pick up your 5th year option, but you got 2 years to figure out which foot Fields all about. That's what you have to do. I mean, you still got Desmond Ritter there.
What's he gonna do? Hold out? Like,
yeah.
We're not going to pay him $50 million after 1 good year.
Exactly.
He's going to take his $25 million 5th year option to play out his 2 years.
You're not giving a first for Fields, Ricondo.
No, I'm not getting him a first. Hell no. He's not worth a first.
You give him a 2 this year, you give him a 3 next, and call it a day.
Yep.
People are worried about the record from Justin Fields about being 11-29 or 24, and he couldn't win games. And
the Bears were trash, man. Quarterback wins is not a stat.
How many offensive coordinators did he have?
3.
He had like 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 2 coaches, 2 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators. Like, you got to get a kid some slack, man. Like, he don't get me wrong, he needs work, but I think in a different offense, look what they did to Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Like, they tailored that offense around Jalen Hurts. He regressed this year because the offensive coordinator left, but you can tailor offense like that and utilize Justin Fields' skill set, man. He's a big quarterback. He can move. You see what he did to us.
So here's the thing, though.
You see what he did. Go ahead, Scott.
Here's the thing, though. You miss out on a quarterback this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you end up dealing with Russell Wilson for a year. Oh no! After this year, what's going to be available? A whole new crop of quarterbacks.
Dak Prescott, possibly Trevor Lawrence.
Prescott, no, Lawrence ain't going anywhere. Prescott might be.
Don't think so?
I don't think Prescott's going to be available either. I'm talking about in the draft.
Oh, in the draft. Okay.
You got the Georgia kid.
I'm gonna throw a name
Carson
out.
Carson Beck, fantastic quarterback.
Trey Lance. What about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance names hitting the board now because of the shortage of quarterbacks that's available in the free agency, and teams
we don't know what Trey Lance all about.
Dallas will take him.
Nobody knows what Trey Lance all about.
Dallas will take a fifth for him, sure, but I ain't touching Trey Lance for anything for more than a fifth.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
Chase.
Why? What's the point?
Chase, I know you have a lot to do and you have to get out of here shortly. So going to you quickly for this last question for you, and then let us know where we can find you on social media for the quarterback issue, for the free agency issue. Do you think the Falcons are going to be aggressive in the free agency, or are you thinking like this is possibly a draft move?
Man,
for the quarterback issue.
As far as the quarterback issue, like I said, it really depends on what did Raheem Morris tell these guys in this meeting that won them over? What his plan is? What is he gonna do for this team to put us back in the win column? Whether that's vet, if it's vet, you're signing that vet quarterback, I believe, day 1, day 2 of free agency. You're gonna go ahead and start calling them. You're gonna get the big names in. You're definitely talking to quarterbacks. If it's rookie, you'll see maybe a defensive signing, I believe, first day of free agency. Some cornerbacks, something. But I do believe you draft your rookie quarterback and you go with a young guy like Scott said, somebody that can come in and be a franchise quarterback for 10, 15 years down the road and, selling jerseys, selling seats, and the Falcon fans are excited again for Falcon football. But so yeah, just to make that long answer short, I definitely think it's a rookie. I think you go rookie quarterback. But with that being said, man, you can catch me on YouTube at Dirty Fanatics United. The channel tags at Chase_ATLho. Catch me on Twitter. Catch me on YouTube. Catch me on Facebook groups, Dirty Fanatics United. Free giveaways, Friday night podcasts. We do pop-ups. It's me and my brother Philip. Just added a new co-host, Cody Keeler. Be sure to check us out, man. Mm-hmm. If you get the chance and you do happen to head over to Dirty Fanatics United, please hit that subscribe button. We at 272, I believe it is right now. Trying to hit 300 before the draft and everything like that starts. But definitely appreciate the ones that have checked us out. We've grown tremendously in the last few weeks, and I greatly appreciate from all the other co-hosts, podcasters, and stuff that I've collabed with that's helped me grow. Yeah, man, it's your boy Chase. I'm out. Hey.
Rise up, Chase. Big shout out to Chase. Big shout out to Philip from Dirty Fanatics United, taking the time out of their day to talk Falcons football with us. You can also catch Chase here on One Time for the Fan too as well. So it's great to have content creators, Falcon fans, talk Falcons football. Scott Ricondos, we get ready to wrap this up here. We're talking Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew, Trey Lance, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Outside of that, that's it. One of those guys is your quarterback next year. Am I right?
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, there's so many different ways you can go about this. Mm-hmm. And there might even be a guy who ends up being a surprise trade target. And Ricondo,
somebody mentioned trade for Kyler Murray. Somebody mentioned trade for Dak Prescott.
Kyler Murray ain't going anywhere. Kyler Murray ain't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Dak Prescott is a very realistic trade target. You got to have Dallas eat about $30 million of his contract, but he's a very realistic trade target. He's got about a year or two left on it. I wouldn't hate Dak Prescott here. I really wouldn't. I think he'd be a great fit. I think Dallas is just cursed since 1995. Jimmy Johnson put a curse on him.
He's telling you, man. Calmly. He's like, I think Dallas.
I just think they're cursed. Like the Falcons have been more successful since Jimmy Johnson left. Than the Cowboys have been. And I just think they're cursed. I think it's the curse of Jerry Jones being a douchebag. That's what it is.
So I just want to get everybody ready for the press conference because Raheem Morris is going to talk about Desmond Ridder and what do you think about that? Because they're going to ask the
quarterback question. They're going to ask the draft. They're going to ask.
So he's going to give. It has
to happen.
About the quarterbacks on the team. So the first thing we're going to hear that Des Ridder, he's our, he's the quarterback, and of course I think they're going to bring in some competition. Mm-hmm. The question is is it going to be veteran guy? It depends. Honestly, man, it depends on the teams ahead of us.
Ricardo, you're hearing the talks though of Denver possibly wanting a little piece of the action. The Raiders who need something. Teams ahead of us who need something. This is the moment where the Falcons have to get their guy. And if you get other teams get ahead of you, you could be the laughing stock in the league, right? I mean, you have to get your guy.
Huh? Here's the thing. Do they have to?
I think the time is now. You set up to have a Kyle Pitts, Drake London. You got your star receiver. You got your star tight end. Your star running back. You don't have a quarterback. Going against Ritter, not hating on Ritter, but this is Ritter out of the conversation, right, Scott?
Ricardo, I get that. What do we do? I'm not even saying that. I'm saying you can get a Russell Wilson, wait for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You can get even a Kirk Cousins if he's willing to take a $15 million guaranteed prove a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like prove you can play with your Achilles not fucked up anymore. Prove you can play at 36 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then we might give you a big deal, and just having a guy like him in the room could be huge for the development of any young quarterback you bring in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of guys available.
And going over that too, Ricardo, mention about Justin Fields. Why do you think he's not worth the first? Because fans here in the chat are like, you have to give up a first for Fields.
No, he's not worth the first. Because you just talked about his record. I mean, he hasn't shown, first round caliber player. He hasn't. I mean, that's just honest. I mean, that's just being honest about it. You have to get your value. The Falcons would be dumb to give a first up for him.
So I'll jump in on that as well, real quick. He's not worth a first because he hasn't shown a passing proficiency to be worth a first just yet.
He's not worth the first, man. Yeah. I mean, honestly, his second kind of high, but I'll give up a second just because he's 25, he's young.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he can be developed into a good, solid quarterback if he put in the right system. I think sometimes these quarterbacks you try to put him in certain. His system is more of RPO style, being able to institute him into the run game, it's like they do Lamar. That's where he's best suited at, man, because he's dynamic as a runner. But when it comes to quarterback for the Falcons, and this sometimes where franchises they screw themselves. If you're not sold on the guy, like if he's not your guy, don't just go get a guy because you think you need a quarterback.
That's what happened to Carolina last year. They wasn't sold on fucking CJ Stroud like they said they was, and they fucking burned him. That's where it was. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, because that's why I'm saying is go to number one, because you have no doubt that you're getting the guy that you want. If you saying if I'm moving up number one, I can pick the guy that I know that's going to be my franchise guy, right? But if you're waiting to number 3 or number 8 or in the second round, I think you're just selling for a guy because he failed to you. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we're not in the draft room. They might be saying, yeah, he failed to us because that's the guy we really wanted. That's what they always say. But don't just get a guy because you think you need a quarterback. I mean, I would rather for them, and can't believe I'm saying this.
I feel like I'm sitting in church.
Desmond Ritter again, and then picking the wrong guy.
I feel like I'm sitting in the choir because you're preaching to me,
Scott.
and I'm like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
If your guy in the draft is not better than the guy you already have, and you're not convinced on him anyway,
yeah, don't pick.
So the reports are coming out that even Dallas Turner is still going 8 to the Falcons. Why would they say Dallas Turner? That means you had to have got your guy in free agency. Am I right?
I hope. That's a great scenario.
And how do we feel on Dallas Turner? We haven't even mentioned him.
I'm telling you right now, the big rumor right now is that Fields will be the Atlanta Falcons quarterback next year.
Yes,
that is the big thought.
And then you still have 8 too, because you're not giving up a first round. You're going to give up a second.
They're expecting quarterback.
Dallas Turner is your 8th pick.
So here's the thing: they're expecting Ridley to resign.
That's a great scenario.
They're expecting Ridley to resign in Jacksonville.
Use that second pick to give up the
extra second round pick.
Talk about it, Scott. Let's go.
They would trade their original second round pick, which is 6 or 7 spots higher.
Even the dog likes it.
I know. I'm sorry about the dogs. My wife.
No. Dog's a Falcon fan.
But as
soon as you said Justin Fields, the dog got hyped. Dog was like, yeah, fucking Justin.
Your original pick, which is like 43. Trade that, then you also trade a 3rd rounder in 25.
Like this?
So that's for Chicago, or that's to Chicago for number 1, right?
Carrie
Chicago
asks,
comes
Atlanta
out and
says number
says,
8, 43, 24,
Fields our
25
guy.
first round pick, 2026 third round, and AJ Terrell. Are we giving up Terrell for Fields though? A
No,
player's involved in this? The Bears are good to rob now. The Bears are good to rob somebody.
This is not for Fields.
Okay.
This trade is for Caleb Williams.
Oh, for Caleb Williams.
I make that trade for Caleb Williams every single day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Shit.
And I even say, hey, you guys sure you don't want our second rounder in 26 as opposed to our third rounder?
Shit.
We'll do 2 2s, 2 1s, and Terrell.
So it's a buffet. This a buffet
you gotta
when they
think,
sit down.
You got to think with this, the way this staff is structured, you got Raheem Morris, a former safety, Jimmy Lake, a former safety. Think you probably are going to bring back Steven Jackson. You got Marquise Williams, who likes his cornerbacks as his gunners. You're going to find some good corners. You got Clark Phillips. You got Alford. You can bring back Okuda to be your number one.
Hughes, save the $3 million. Yeah.
Probably cut Hughes, save another 3.5 right there.
Mm-hmm. Draft
I mean, that bring Okuda back, and then you make that trade, and in the 4th or 5th, you take that corner that's going to be your 4th corner this year, because Alford can play number 2 corner. Phillips can play number 2 corner. One of those two is going to play your nickel, so you get Okuda to be your 1.
Yeah, I guess the only reason why I would like that trade, because you got to pay AJ this year. You got to give him a contract. So I guess that would be it. But I mean, I'd rather just give up draft picks than give up players.
Give up an extra first in 26,
just
and then
give
like
an extra first, maybe.
Like a 2 in 27. Just be like, listen, we'll give up 3 firsts, 2 seconds, call it a day, be done with it. Get your franchise guy. If you've built your roster out to a certain point, I'm cool with that, especially if Jacksonville re-signs Ridley and you're guaranteed to have 2 second-round picks anyway. I might even say, listen, instead of that second-round pick all the way in the future, and instead of a first-round pick, we'll give you we'll give you 2 2s this year, a 1 this year, and then 2 more 1s, and then call it. If I'm Chicago and I'm like, I can have 2 1s back to back, I can have 2 2s. I can have 2 1s the next year, 2 1s the year after that. I'm thinking real hard about that trade.
But talk about this, Ricondo, as you get ready to give your comment. Throw in the Ritter comment too right here too as well.
Yeah, but think about this. Like, you only moving up 7 spots. How much somebody need to put that in the trade calculator, because
the Bears robbed Carolina. What do you think they're gonna want for that one?
It's not you're only moving up 7 spots. It's
for the quarterback,
for your franchise.
Yeah, for the quarterback.
So if you were
franchise quarterback,
if you were trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr., that pick is going to be way cheaper, right?
Yeah, it's the quarterback. Quarterback.
We're going to look at it like, we can trade up for like 2 1s and a 2 and be good.
So can we agree that Chicago, Washington, and New England, they see that 404, that 678 calling on draft day? It's tax season.
Absolutely.
So Falcon fans, you hear that? If you want to get up and be aggressive, which you might have to go get your guy. If I'm in New England seeing who the fuck's calling from Atlanta, that's fucking.
That's not even how trades work on draft day. Because on draft day, you've already worked out your trades before draft day. You've already called all the GMs ahead of you.
You're just waiting for the time on
trading up, and you've already worked out a basic framework of a deal, and you know what you're doing. You already kind of know, like, all right, well, Chicago's sticking with Fields, and they're trading me this for X, Y, and Z. But New England went out and signed Cousins, and we could trade up to 3 for, 2 1s and a 2, and it's not going to be as bad. And that 2 is not until 2026.
Yeah,
I might be like, listen, I like Jaden Daniels
a lot,
just as much as I like Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Or I like Drake May just as much as I like Caleb Williams. And New England just signed Cousins, and they're willing to do this deal with me, and they want to take Spencer Rattler or Michael Penix in a later round and train him up behind Cousins for a year or 2. What do I do then? I'd make that trade, and I'd take, Washington went with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
And number 1 went Caleb Williams, and
Drake
Fields got traded to Pittsburgh. So what am I doing right now? I'm gonna trade up. I'm gonna get Drake May.
Yeah,
who might be the best fit for this scheme.
He's nice too.
Yeah,
and have May at 3 and have my franchise guy drafted at 3 for the next 10 to 15 years, just like the last franchise guy that was drafted at 3.
Yep,
and if you're looking at this too as well, Falcon fans, every day is going to be something different. If you hear tomorrow morning that the Bears are getting ready to let go of Fields when the designation hits, or the Patriots are saying that they found their guy and it's a quarterback, or if you hear Washington wants to go after Kirk Cousins, you're going to hear different things every day. But Scott and Ricondo, to you, Kenneth has been saying for a while here in the podcast that Ritter is the guy. They're not finding nobody else. Don't believe the hype. Ritter is the guy. For the fan base, I think Ritter. The fan base is ready to move on from this. So that's where I see it as. But what do you guys think about this?
I'm going to tell you right now, Ritter could be a guy here. But there's so many options. And while I love Ritter, I think he could be the guy. I think we're sitting here looking at a new head coach, new coaching staff that's going to come in and say, we haven't evaluated everybody properly yet. And that's what they're going to say at the press conference.
More than likely.
We haven't evaluated everybody properly yet. We want to see how everybody fits what we want to do and how we can fit what we want to do to them before we think about what we need. And then we're going to address our needs in free agency and through trade, because that's how Terry Fontenot addresses need.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into the draft and we're going to take the best player available in the draft.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how they do it. So for me, for Ritter, man, he has all the tools, man. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and don't act like Ritter didn't do things that you like. Okay, all right, I see it, I can see it, but honestly, the only thing that pissed me off about Ritter is the turnovers, man. The turnovers piss me off. Like, I can't get past it. Like, that turning over the damn ball just pissed me off so much. Like, I don't want them on my team no more. The turnovers
turnovers are correctable.
Do we go if you're going over that, Ricondo? Do you go off at least? I hear what you're saying about that with Ritter, but look at the comment right here with Blank and McKay saying Ritter's the quarterback.
Blank and McKay did not tell us that at their press conference. Blank and McKay said we need better play from our quarterback position. Whether that is Ritter or whether that is another player is to be determined by our new head coach.
I also heard Julio will be a Falcon for life. I also heard that too.
Yeah.
Who? Ritter be Falcon for life? Who said that?
I heard that. No, I heard that Julio would be a Falcon for life. This was years ago.
Well, he did say Julio would be Falcon for life until they hired Arthur Smith, and Julio was like, "Nah, I'm peace out of this bitch."
Shit.
Because Julio's at the point in his career where he didn't want to deal with a coach like Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
You know, Julio never wanted to deal with that kind of guy. Calvin Ridley didn't want to deal with him either.
Yeah, if you want to,
it wouldn't shock me if Ridley said, "Hey, I'm coming back to Atlanta too."
Would you take Julio Jones for 1 year with Raheem? Go ahead, Ricondo.
If you really want to see some chaos, is nobody made no moves until draft day.
Shit.
Now then,
that's chaos.
All the stuff we're talking about, that'd be crazy because it'd be a hectic draft day, man. That day one to be ridiculous. If everybody
would be like 2011. That lockout year, that's why we traded up for Julio, because you got to think in that lockout year, there were some solid free agent wide receivers we could have signed. But because it was a lockout year, we didn't sign anybody until after the draft. That lockout went to like June, and then we had all of our free agency in June. It was weird. It was a really rough year. And that's why we signed Ray Edwards, who
shit.
Don't mention that name. Oh my god.
It's the first time we mentioned it here on the podcast too as well.
Ray Edwards. Hey, look. Hey, so just like the Kenneth, I think that Stu said that. He said that we have to get a quarterback. And the biggest thing for me, from what I took from that, if I didn't take anything up from the press conference from Arthur Blank and Rich McKay, was that they think they got a team to win now. So when you say that, you ain't experimenting. Are you really experimenting? He said, "What? Fuck Matt Ryan." He said, I mean, are you really experimenting though? Think about it like that. So, I mean, if they expect to win now, you could see one of these veteran quarterbacks come in, and then you draft a Michael Penix in the second round or something like that. You know,
I don't see them doing the Michael Penix thing. I don't. I think they're going to either trade up and get that franchise guy, or they're going to trade for Fields. I think those are their two options that they're really looking at. Mm-hmm. And then as far as a veteran to sign for a backup, you're either looking at Russell Wilson or Sam Darnold as a backup. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold's been a backup in San Francisco. He looked really solid there. San Francisco scheme's very similar to St. Louis's. It would not shock me to see him come here as a backup on a similar contract to what he signed for San Francisco, 1 year, 4.5, 1 year, 5, something like that, and test the market and see what he looks like. And maybe he starts a couple games here because he doesn't have the Brock Purdy situation here. Mm-hmm. He might have a shot at starting here. So you give him those same escalators that Baker Mayfield got with Tampa, and where Baker made $14 million this year because he balled out. Maybe he comes here and balls out. And okay, well, yeah, Sam Darnold went and balled out, and he finally looked like the guy that went 3 overall. I mean, some guys need some time. Again, Kirk Cousins, same kind of guy. And before you say Sam Darnold is the same kind of quarterback we had with Matt Ryan, man, Sam Darnold ran a 4.5. He's not slow. He can run. He's got some wheels. Mm-hmm. He's not a runner like Daniel Jones. He actually uses his eyes to pass, but he's not some slow guy who's just trash.
The cool thing about this here, Falcon fans, of having this podcast with Ricondo and Dirty Fanatics United and Scott, is because as Falcon fans, there are different scenarios you can look at. And sometimes you are in the group chats and you're in the text groups and you're on Twitter and you're in the Discords and people are talking Falcons football. But when it comes to the podcast, you can sit back, you can chat it up with your friends and your Falcons family, and you can really talk Falcons football. So having this conversation tonight has been great because Ricondo's going to go back now and wait for the next bit of news surrounding the Falcons that can, put some content out for his channel. If he hears tomorrow that the Falcons are targeting a big name pass rusher, I'm thinking Ricondo's looking at it like, who the fuck is this pass rusher? Yeah, so as Falcon fans, we want to be excited about not only the upcoming season, but we have to be excited about the moves and the change that's going to happen because there's going to be some guys out the door. We know that. There's going to be some new guys coming into the building. We know that. The strength of schedule, we haven't even talked about the schedule tonight. First of all, there's a lot of comments in the chat too as well. We couldn't get to everybody, so we do love and appreciate everybody for showing up tonight. But I have to ask a question that's off of the itinerary, Ricondo and Scott. Hostile environment for Terry was very big since he's been here, and the Falcons' attendance coming off of the swag surfing and the 50 years of hip hop and all these things that they do for the team and for the fan base. It is big in the stands, but this year they got some teams coming in the building. They don't want to hear none of that shit. They came here to play football. You got the Cowboys fans coming in the building. You got Steeler fans coming in the building. The 12s coming from Seattle has been pretty deep coming over here in the building. So, and then your Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs from last year, possibly of this year too, that's going to be coming in the building. So the hostile environment might be a little bit crazy for season ticket holders and fans. But Ricondo and Scott, I mean, you have to win to maintain the hostile environment. But they are bringing in some teams next year that is going to, probably take over majority of the stadium. I mean, we're looking at that. So talk about this hostile environment with these teams for next strength and schedule, Scott.
Well. So you guys know I am a season ticket holder, so I already know the Steelers, the Cowboys, they're gonna drown us out. They
Giants do as well.
Yeah, they do it every year, man. Like it's ridiculous. But you have to. You got to create it. You have to create that kind of.
You win.
You got to win, man. But you want to be the team where you fear. You see the Saints fan. You see the
Saints.
Charlie Quest, what the fuck you doing here? Charlie Quest, what you doing in here?
Aints, Satans.
That's one of my followers. He always trying to troll me. So what's up, Charlie Quest? What's up, Charlie Quest? But I mean, you got to be able to start to create the culture where people don't want to come to your house to play you. And we ain't got the reputation yet. We just don't. I mean,
people want to play.
We started to change it the last 2 seasons a little bit. We won a lot of
people want to play here.
Yeah, but
big money coming in, Scott. What you looking at when you're looking at this hostile environment?
I mean, yeah, you got Cowboys, you got Cowboys, you got Seahawks, you got Steelers.
Kansas City.
And you got Chiefs. Those 4 teams, they're going to travel well.
The Giants coming too?
Giants come here too as well. Yep.
Giants are a joke. I'm going to that game with a couple Giants friends of mine.
We go to Philly.
That's going to be a hostile environment. That's a real hostile environment.
Man, you just called it. I forgot. You got
we go
to Philly. We go to Washington. We go to Minnesota, which is hostile.
We go to Vegas.
I've been to Minnesota. We go to Vegas.
Carolina. We go to Tampa. The most hostile environment the Falcons see is the Saints every year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about you.
If they can handle the Saints, they can handle anywhere.
They better remember that crap Jameis Winston did too.
And that crap that Jameis Winston pulled, they just need to treat every team like they're the Saints this year.
Yeah.
And just grind. Again, this is one of those things. Even if you don't win, don't lose big.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose by a field goal at the end, whatever, you fought.
Mm-hmm.
Fight, climb, dig, grime, like whatever you got to do. One thing I like about Raheem Morris from his last stint as interim head coach with a roster that wasn't even as good as what we have now, outside of quarterback and wide receiver, that was the only strength of that roster. Now it's a flipped roster, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2020, he may have gone 4-7, right?
Yeah.
Those 7 losses were by 1 score.
Yeah, he almost beat
those 4 wins were by 1 to 2 scores.
Yeah, we almost beat the Chiefs that season.
I mean, we had a much better team than people realize. This is a way better team than those. I think I'm gonna call it now. As long as this team can get a quarterback that the coaching staff believes in, whether we like him or not means absolute dick. If the coaching staff likes him, I trust Zach Robinson. I trust Raheem Morris. Right now, I trust them because they've done nothing to show me otherwise. I trust those two that they will right the ship and we will have a winning record in 2024.
Ricardo, we get ready to wrap up this show here. This is just a quick observation of what you see because there's still some players that got to leave the building and, coaching staff that still got to be finished set up. But just your thoughts on the upcoming season. How are you feeling as a Falcon fan so far?
Well, to me, he just said it's all about the quarterback for me. To me, that's going to really determine how good I feel, to be honest with you. I mean, even if Desmond Ridder is a guy, they need to bring some competition in. So whoever the quarterback is, I do believe the coaching is going to be better, especially on the offense side of the ball, because we have the talent. So, but if we can't fix the quarterback position, man, it's going to be a long season.
I'm telling you, your worst case scenario is you're going out and you're signing Sam Darnold and you're signing Russell Wilson and you're having a 3-man competition for starting quarterback between those two and Desmond Ridder. And whoever wins that job has fought and clawed for it the way that Raheem Morris would want them to. And that's the guy. And Dr. Slicknut says if you can't get your guy at 1 to get a pass rusher at 8, I am in full agreement there. I would love to see the Falcons get a beast pass rusher. I also think D'Angelo Malone can be pretty good if given the opportunity in this
hasn't been unleashed yet.
Yeah, they didn't.
So give me Malone, give me Ebiketie, give me Harrison, give me Grady, give me Onyemata, and then give me like Dallas Turner or Latu, or just like there's like 6 really good pass rushers. Past those guys, there's really not that many. Like there's like 6 really good pass rushers in this draft. Hell, draft Darius Robinson in like the 3rd round. That kid's gonna be fucking good. 6'5", 297, built like a 3 technique. I'm telling you, if you want that next Calais Campbell, it's Darius Robinson.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. This has been great talking Falcons football with Chase and Phillip, Ricardo, Scott. Bodie couldn't make it tonight, but we're going to be doing these panels going forward a lot more because the offseason, of course, is here now, and Falcon fans want to hear what not only content creators, but diehard Falcon fans have to say. I mean, I'm a season ticket holder, PSL holder. Ricardo, you know what tomorrow is? They finna charge you. You know, you get them emails. They finna charge you.
I already got the email, dog. Hey, the prices went up too, man.
Hell yeah, it went up. But they know at 7:58. 7:58 tomorrow morning, Ricardo. Notification.
Yeah, we got an extra home game this year though. So
hey,
I guess it's worth it. I guess
this is great. Going over a quick conversation here with Scott. I mean, we was in London, Scott, at the Falcons Jags game. We went to the Falcons party where they had at the Admiral.
That was awesome.
Having a couple drinks, enjoying the good times there, meeting with fans from Germany and different countries and all over the world about, representing the Falcons. And then we stepped outside and had a quick conversation on YouTube about the Atlanta Falcons.
That's the Brian Finneran picture.
When you went up there to get the autograph.
Yeah, when I went up there to get the autograph, there's a Brian Finneran picture up on the wall, above the Stephen Nicholas and other pictures.
You still be doing the trips, man? Because I know last year you guys were doing the trips.
Yeah. So for those that's here in the chat, I do want to know. Me and my friend Thomas Scott, we started a group called the Rise Up Tour 5 years ago, and we're taking it to the whole new level right now. But right now we have over 1,400 members.
Denver's going to be fun
in our group. We're going to Vegas this year. We're going to, of course, all the division games, Denver. But yeah, we have our membership group because we are an actual, and Scott, you might know about this too. We're an actual chapter for the Falcons when it comes to being the Falcons fans. Now, if you look at different chapters for the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Packers, there's about 50 to 100. Here in Atlanta, there's one, and it's the Rise Up Tour. We travel to all the games. We put on different events, parties, meet and greets, mixers, breakfast, lunch, dinners, all different type of stuff in different cities, bus trips, all different type of stuff. But big shout out to everybody from the Rise Up Tour because we do travel to all these games. So Ricondo, I see people in the chat talking about Vegas. Vegas is going to be a big game this year. Denver is a big game this year. New Orleans is always our biggest game.
Man.
Every party we throw in New Orleans always takes over to fucking the max capacity level.
If Vegas is that first game of the year, that's my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
We going to Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. Like we're going to Vegas. We're gonna celebrate my birthday.
You think Vegas be the first game of the season?
No. I think the
considering the Falcons
game.
were bad and Vegas was bad, I could easily see that being the first game of the year for the Falcons in one of those 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock spots. Like
any primetime games this year for us?
I mean, we do have the Steelers.
If we get number one draft pick, yes, we're gonna have a couple.
We get the number one pick. Oh, we're gonna have like 5.
You play 4 teams that is known to have primetime games all the time. You play Kansas City, you play Dallas.
We get that number one pick. We're gonna, especially if it's Caleb Williams, and we go against Kansas City at home. That's a Sunday night game.
Oh yeah,
Dallas at home. Dallas at home, especially if it's late in the year, that could be a game that's flexed. Our Thursday, we're gonna have a Thursday night game against the Saints, guarantee it. Because we haven't had a Thursday night game in like 2 years. We're going to have one next year for sure. And we're probably going to have, if I had to guess, we might have 2 Thursday night games next year. Because we haven't had.
Uncle Steve hit it on the nail, man.
Like Uncle Steve in the chat here with a comment. Yeah, but you hit it. But you are talking about mid-level and over-the-hill quarterbacks competing to start. Haven't we seen this in 22, 23? May as well let Ritter start with that logic. We're going over different scenarios here too as well, Uncle Steve. So
I mean, I agree with him. Like I said,
I'm not saying don't try and stick with Ritter. I'm saying if you miss out, which is very possible, I mean, shit happens.
Yeah. The percentage for sticking with Ritter right now is probably below 5% for me. Like I think they're going to get their guy somewhere along the free agency or the draft. Ricondo, about
Lisa, your 9-9 gang.
Yeah, just don't. I don't want them to settle. Like I said, man. Like if you're going to settle just because you think you need to get somebody else, just stick Ritter. You know what I mean? That's just me. Like I don't want to be trying to. Because if you don't really think Russell Wilson can get you over the hump, why are you gonna go get him? Because he's a veteran guy. Like if you got to believe Russell Wilson,
cheap competition,
can show something that he showed in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? If you don't believe that, don't go get him.
Lisa, my birthday's September 9th as well. So you, me, Papa Falcon. If you guys haven't talked to Daryl's awesome. Papa Falcon, man, he's awesome.
Big shout out to Papa.
Yeah, man.
September 9th.
9-9 too. September 9th birthdays.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, Family First. We're doing a community event here for the Rise Up Tour. February 7th, we're doing a coat drive. So we'll give you some more information about that, not only on the YouTube channel, we'll give you some information about it on the Facebook channel. We'll also talk about it on Sunday night too as well. It's been a great night here talking Falcons football with everybody. Ricondo, where can we find you on social media? What is going on with you and your channel over there, brother? just get the platform is yours, brother.
Okay, yeah, like he said, of course, most people know Ricondo, real Falcon fan, been doing it about almost going on 4 years now, man.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoying it. This is gonna be an exciting season, and like he said, just be looking for it because if some news come out, something I want to talk about, definitely just look for me on the channel. You can find me on X. It's X now at Ricondo K. Same thing on Instagram.
It's Mama named it Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter.
Exactly right, because everybody still say Twitter, but yeah, just talking Falcons, man. This is gonna be a long season. Of course, you guys, I do start my series with last year players who need to improve and things like that. We start a draft series, talk about quarterbacks, all the position groups. Of course, we're gonna get into free agents. So you see, it's an exciting season. Mm-hmm. And just think, if we would have beat the Panthers, we would have beat the Vikings, we would have beat the Cardinals, this season would be boring. This offseason would be kind of boring because Arthur Smith still be the coach. Maybe we still be getting the quarterback, but it wouldn't be a whole lot of changes like it's going to be now. So
I'm glad Arthur Smith is not the coach because it was very obvious he was not the guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny you say that because they pretty much kept the whole coaching staff except him. So
I'm glad that Raheem Morris with his connections.
Guys.
Yeah.
He's a guy who knew some guys and he could build a good staff. But honestly, like, I'm kind of glad, and I might get flack for this, I'm kind of glad Nielsen's gone too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I
like the way Nielsen called close games at the end with his soft zone coverage and his 4-man rushes. It was like Dan Quinn was out there.
Shit.
3
soft zones with 4-man rushes.
Quinn.
You know what, man? I believe Grady would have played against Minnesota. I believe Grady would have played against Minnesota. I think we would have won that game.
I think
it was an Arizona game.
How many times they had Dobbs in their hands, man?
Listen, I think if Grady's healthy for this year, we're probably 9-8. We're probably 9-8. I mean, that's probably not even a question. I'm with you there. If Grady's healthy all year, playing to his ability, he's got 10 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big.
I won't argue there, man. Grady was the biggest loss on the team.
Yeah, that was a huge loss for us.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. This is what we do it for. You can get this from Ricondo over on his channel. You can follow Scott on Twix. Is that what we call it? Twix? Twitter X? Twix?
Twix.
Is that what it is?
It's Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter?
Like I said. His mama named him Twitter. I'm going to call him Twitter.
Like, call him Twitter.
That's a Coming to America reference, y'all. Like, that's such a good movie.
You can find more of this if you follow them too on social media. We put everything in the description on YouTube. We will go back over and add some more stuff too as well. Because I know Ricondo has a lot of things going on his platform. Scott is doing a lot over there on social media too as well. And just for the Falcons community, Scott, do people sometimes think that you work for the Falcons? Because you're like 24/7, like boom, 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 boom. As soon as something happens, you're updating the chart, you're updating the coaching staff, you're updating it like
so. I work from home.
You quick to it, man. You real quick. He right.
Super quick.
I work from home. I'm basically chilling on Twitter all day while I'm doing my job.
Going off in the Discord every minute.
I see news pop up, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'll just do this. I'm not in a call for work. I got a minute where I can just like. I work the kind of job where I'm really good at it, but I also don't have to like be on the phone 24/7 and like be working every single minute. Like I'm very good at it to the point where I can take a 5-minute break every hour and check Twitter and do that kind of stuff. So I do that. And I just take my break when I notice something happens. I'm like, all right, well, cool. I'll just wait an hour or so and I grind out for an hour. And then I look up and I'm like, oh, something else happened. Like that's all it is. I'm just quick. I just pay attention. I do my job. I do the Twitter stuff too. I do that more because I'm a visual guy and I do so much stuff in Excel just for work that like I've already got Excel open.
Yeah. Might as well go ahead and might as well take away. Yeah.
Add a sheet and put my Falcons depth chart in there, add a sheet and have my Falcons coaching staff in there. And I'm like, wait, I find this interesting. Maybe someone else will.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't put stuff on there because I'm like, oh, other people are going to find this interesting. I'm like, I find this interesting, so I'm going to post it. And if y'all don't find it interesting, well, it's not hurting you. So tough shit. Like, like I find it interesting that our defensive line coach played quarterback in college. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. And
that is cool.
He coached the offensive side in college, like fresh out of college. And then in the NFL, he moved over to the defensive side, and he's been killing it as defensive line coach. Because his understanding as a quarterback as to how to piss off quarterbacks, well, he would know. What's the defensive line's job? Piss off the quarterback. I mean, and stop the run, but like, you can learn how to teach guys how to stop the run. You either know how to piss off a quarterback or you don't. And Jay Rodgers knows how to piss off a quarterback. So
this has been educational for many here in the chat. For those that sitting, watching, listening, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, you know where to find One Time for the Fan. Ricondo, a real Falcons fan. Scott, we can't wait till you get the podcast going. But when you do, it's going to get some crazy numbers. But for right now, you can follow him on social media. Before we get up out of here, Ricondo, any shout outs, sir?
I'd just like to shout out to all the Falcon content creators, man. You guys doing your things. I love all the different opinions, all different point of views. I mean, you guys help me stay sharp too, and then all the fans as well, man. All the fans, like, people don't believe when I tell them that we do have a fan base. You know, like it's a lot of Falcon fans out there.
Massive fan base.
Yes.
And we love our team just as much as any other team, right? And I don't care what nobody say. To be a Falcon fan, you got to love your team because they don't broke our hearts so many times. So, so just shout out to all the Falcon fans and all the other content creators, man. Keep doing y'all thing. So
this is what we do. This is what we do it for. Ricondo, I appreciate everything for you, sir. We said it was going to be an hour, but went a little bit over. So I do thank you for your time, my brother. And of course, I'll catch you either at the stadium or a home game, away game, OTAs, practice somewhere, or you'll be back on this podcast before all that happens. So we do appreciate everything, Ricondo.
Shut you up. Yep.
And Jordan, you know, man, with me, it always goes late.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, man. I really did, man. Thanks for having me tonight. Because be honest with you, I was gonna come on live anyway, so I'm glad you invited me on to chat some Falcon stuff. So.
This is great. We're definitely gonna do it again, man. So welcome back once again to the podcast, and then we'll have you back on definitely before the season starts again, brother.
Appreciate awesome. Appreciate it. See you guys later.
Scott,
what up, man?
This has been great, man. Chase, Phillip, we call this the panel, the front line tonight. All the information from Ricondo, his thoughts, his facts, his opinions about the team, Chase, and of course, Phillip. If Bodie was here, it probably would have been another hour because Bodie, we call him the professor because he really does a lot of the breakdowns with the Falcons. But for you, Scott, what shout outs do you have? Any final thoughts here for the fans in the chat? What's to look for coming up? I mean, we talked a lot about the quarterback, the coaching staff, so much going on, but the floor is yours, sir.
We covered pretty much everything that I'd want to cover so far. I mean, coaching staff, let's see how that fills out. Right now, it is a really good staff, but there's still some key openings: wide receiver coach, tight end coach, linebacker, corners, safeties, edge rushers, those kinds of spots. So let's see how that fills out. Once we know the coaching staff, once we see everybody introduced, then let's work towards looking at who the best free agency fits are. That's the way I've been kind of approaching this. And while no, I do not work for the team, if the team wanted me to work for them tomorrow, I would gladly do so.
Same for me too. I'm a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan, and I'm even thinking about it. Like, do I want to get a media pass for a training camp, or do I want to be a fan? like, nah, I want to be a fan. Let me just chill on the other side of the ropes. And big shout out to everybody who does cover the Falcons. You know, we talked to Myles Garrett. We saw Justin Felder from Fox 5 in London too as well. A lot of people we do speak to, like not only just social media, but maybe private chat, Discord. However, there are a lot of diehard Falcon fans out here, and that's when it comes to the traveling that we do with the Rise Up Tour and putting on these parties and events. Like, you should see what we do on the road when we go out of town. Just going off of London, the Falcons threw their party at Admiral Square in London, and it was from 4 to 7. And after that, Falcon fans didn't know what to do or where to go. But our group, the Rise Up Tour, we threw a party, a Georgia watch party that started at 8 because Georgia Auburn was going to be at 3:30. So it was going to be 5:30 over there, 8:30. So when we found the location Friday and we posted it in our group, to walk in the building somewhere in London off of Waterloo exit. I don't even know where the fuck Waterloo is. To see 300 Falcon/Georgia fans watching the Falcon game, Rise Up Tour members, Falcon. It was just crazy to see that we have a really big fan base. When we go to New Orleans, we always pack out every club, every event that we always do. This year we have
a
Vegas.
Massive fan base.
Massive. You should have seen us in Arizona last year. It was crazy. I was like, where you from? Idaho? Where you from? Wait. New Mexico? Wait, what?
The Vic era gave us a lot of fans.
Yeah.
The Matt Ryan era, where we actually won games, gave us even more fans.
And you remember the social media jump from when we went to the Super Bowl? It was like 400,000, 2 million. Like, wait a minute, where the fuck we got all these followers from social media?
And it was a lot of people that did that because they were like, you know what, they're kind of a fun team,
and they hate the pay.
They're kind of like that gritty kind of fun team that really, you know, we want to watch. We don't want to see them lose, because they're not Tom Brady's Patriots, but they're Matt Ryan, and he does things the right way, and Julio Jones,
and
he does things the right way, and Devontae Freeman, he's kind of a fun story, 4th round pick, and like, you know, their defense, it's a bunch of young, just fun, gritty guys who fast as hell. Like that was probably the most fun I've ever had as a Falcons fan up until the second half of that game.
I was there in Houston, Scott, and it was the quickest 12-hour ride back to Atlanta I've ever had. I probably did a 12-hour drive in like 40 minutes. I was doing like at least 160 miles per hour going back to Atlanta after that game. I didn't go to the hotel, had the bags in the car, and said, fuck this. There's no reason for me to stay in Houston. But then again, I still want to see the team win. It's been years now. It's been years.
I want to see this. I want to see this team win.
That's all it's about. That's all it's about. It's about winning from Kenny.
I feel like after having to deal with that bullshit, we're owed one.
I like that. It does sound about right. Slim Sam Little, Stewie Rock, Jake Shrew's statement is in the chat. Big Low Country Sports, get better, sir.
That's my boy, Big Low.
Country was supposed to be on the podcast tonight talking Falcons football with us. He couldn't make it. He's not feeling well, so get well soon, Country. I'm sure you'll be on either next week's podcast or the one after, but we'll definitely have you back on.
He was in my Big Money Fantasy League last year.
Did he win?
No.
Shit.
He got like 8. No, dude, that league is tough. That's a league of sharks.
That's tough. Country, I thought you were going to be in there winning, man. Came in here in the chat the other day, said, Bodie, with my $40. And he was over here Debo checking Bodie. I thought he was over here winning.
Yeah, because you had to pay dues for us.
Sheesh. We ain't going to get to the bowling event. We'll save that for later. But for Falcon fans here in the chat, this has been great, Scott, coming here. Lisa says shout out to Block and Dirty too as well. So it was great.
Oh, she writes there with me.
Yeah. It's good to have Lisa Shepard too as well on the podcast before, and we'll definitely get around later on before the season starts. But Scott, this has been great talking Falcons football with you, sir. Once again, social media, where can we find you?
It's at Karasik S, so CARASIKS, and that's Instagram, even though I don't really post anything on Instagram, and that's Twitter. I post all the time on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but I'm the only one with my name on Facebook. If you search it, you find me. That's cool, whatever. You can add me. I'll probably add you back. I use Facebook as kind of like a shit posting spot anyway.
Sheesh.
I mean, it is what it is. It's Facebook. It's where like all the old people I know go on. My boss is on my Facebook, so I try to keep it somewhat clean.
Yeah.
She kind of follows me on Twitter too, but I'm not as clean on Twitter.
Falcon fans, hit that like.
She's cool.
Hit that share. Hit that subscribe. And of course, for Scott, head on over to Twitter or any social media that he's on and hit the follow. You definitely want to hear what Scott has to say. Like you heard what Ricardo said. Scott, you're super quick on doing the breakdowns. Anything that pops up with the Falcons, you're like right there. So if you follow him on social media, he might post something before the Falcons post it. You never know. But Scott is diehard.
I go off of first report.
Off the first report. That is definitely a verified report too as well. You don't post the hokey poke now. You ain't posting all that bullshit.
I have a list of guys on as a special feed. It's like a private feed.
Yeah.
That I have set up for myself on a list. And it is specifically guys that I know when they get information, it is 100% accurate. It's as much as I do not like some of the stuff D-Led says, he's on that list because whenever he gets news,
he's very accurate.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafolo, the big national guys. I follow. It's got all the beat writers all throughout. It's got the official Falcons writers. Obviously, Myles Garrett, Zach Klein.
Shout out Myles!
The local guys. Like, those are guys you have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's ones that I verified that anytime they get info, not only is it accurate, it's if we don't hear about it from the team today, we'll hear about it from the team tomorrow. Or in this case, with some of these guys like Zach Robinson and Dwayne Ledford and all that, we heard about it from the team like 3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
But it's coaches. Coaches tend to take a couple days. Or if it's free agency, start a free agency, it's like, oh, Jesse Bates is coming to Atlanta. We knew that day one of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come out until like that day for the Falcons because they have some tampering shit that they can't do.
Yeah, leading up to it, fans kind of expected it with the partying in the club and hanging out with the players and the agents really tied with the Falcons. So, Falcon fans, you know where to go find some of this information and this news. But if you definitely want to get it updated as quick as possible and then get like a breakdown from it, right here, Scott Karisic, head on over to Twitter, follow him too as well. Myself, Jack Spade, One Time for the Fan, Chase, Bodie, Ricondo. There's going to be so much going on here. But Scott, I do appreciate your time tonight talking Falcons football with us. I said it in the chat earlier, like I said it the first time you got here. It will be a quick podcast, an hour and 15 minutes, and now we're hitting the 2-hour mark. So thank you once again, Scott, for doing this. But this is what happens when you're a diehard fan and fans are in the chat wanting to hear what people have to say. They realize that this is the opportunity to wait. This is a safe zone to talk Falcons football. Let me talk. So we love doing this, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm always down.
Always, man. Scott, we'll definitely see you before the season starts again back on the podcast. And
before the draft, man.
Before the draft?
We got to hit it up before free agency.
Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do this.
We got to hit it up before the draft.
Do you have time draft night? Can we get you on draft night?
So draft night, actually draft night, I got to get you on what I'm doing because we're going to do the Pro Sports Fans roundtable of Falcons fans for draft night, and it's going to be me and Lieutenant Dan for sure.
LT.
But I'm going to invite you right up front. I want you to come in for draft night. I know Bigelow, I'm going to send an invite.
I'd love to do it if I can represent the One Time for the Fan, whoever
Absolutely,
can show up.
Man.
I know we're going live, though. We've been doing it for the past 2 years. We've been going live on draft night. So however we can do it before the draft starts.
It's done through our phones. So like we might even set up on here and on my phones.
Okay.
We're simulcasting, if you will.
Okay.
We totally can talk down about for that.
I'm glad because draft night is going to be big. I'm not going to be there for draft night because we're going to be doing the stream. But Scott, we have so much time to go over this, and we're going to have our bowling event. I got to put 250 up average on you, man. It's been a couple of weeks, man.
Okay, you put your 250 up. I'll put my 98 up. We'll be good.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Scott, we'll definitely see you back, man. I appreciate it.
I'm a short, unathletic Jewish man. I do not do this ain't high school anymore. Like, I'm built more like a bowling ball than a guy who can actually throw a bowling ball. But I like it. It's fun.
Hey, and tell you something, bowling is it's a great way to just relax and kick back with your friends and family, man. But
absolutely,
it's going down in a major way this season, Scott. We're always going to be in contact, of course, with these Atlanta Falcons and then off the field too as well, man. So I thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk Falcons football with us, brother. Appreciate it,
man.
Scott, rise up,
man.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. This is what it is. This is what it's all about. As you can see from the comments, from everybody in the chat, everybody that's listening and watching, social media, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at, we always have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons. And I told y'all it was going to be a big show. From the moment the show started, I said this is going to be a little bit crazy. I'm on my third shot, so I'm feeling a little good right now. Ricondo coming in here talking Falcons football. He's a season ticket holder, so he spends his money on the Atlanta Falcons. You got Scott, who always just talks Falcon football on Twitter 24/7. I mean, this guy, like he said, he sits in front of the computer. He has his Microsoft program up. He has whatever he has else up doing his work, and then he has the Falcons up. So he can talk Falcons football at any minute. And then Chase, who's always in the chat with us, talking Falcons football, Dirty Fanatics United, what he's done with his platform. And, of course, what Chase has done here with us at One Time for the Fan. You know, we always love talking Falcons football, and it's been great doing it tonight with you all. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. And, of course, from everybody from Uncle Steve to Dr. Slicknuts to Stewie Rock to Lisa Shepard to Kenneth to Big Low to so many people. LaMarcus Boyd. I mean, the chat was live and lit tonight. We couldn't get to all the comments, but we do thank everybody for representing the Falcons fan base here in the chat. If you want to be a part of our giveaway, we do have a lot of people that do listen and watch the podcast afterwards. We'll go ahead and put it in the chat. If you want to be a part of the giveaway, we have our end of the season giveaway that's going on. One Time for the Fan. We're going to be giving back some Falcons merch to you all, from us to you all. For the 5 winners that's going to be selected. We got over like 30 plus names, 40 plus names now that's already been added. So if you want to be a part of the One Time for the Fan giveaway, right there, it's in the chat. You got a hashtag One Time for the Fan right there. Hashtag One Time for the Fan in the chat. Like you see right here. Hashtag One Time for the Fan in the chat. And you have to be subscribed to the channel, right? Last year we gave away signed Kyle Pitts jersey, gave away some game tickets. It was pretty cool. Some small stuff, shirts, hats, you know, stuff like that. So for those going to be in the channel watching coming up this week, we have another big show on Sunday night. Don't know if we're going to have a special guest or not, but it's going to be a big show. Trust me. And then, of course, Monday. Falcon fans, Monday is going to be live and it's going to be lit. We have another panel for you all. So if you guys enjoyed the front line tonight, with Ricondo and Dirty Fanatics United and Scott Karisic, we have another panel for you all Monday night, pop-up podcast. So we got some more Falcon fans, some more people coming back here. As you can see, Diane's in the chat. She said she's trying to get her some Falcons merch. But for all the Falcon fans that's here in the chat, that's listening and watching, Monday we have another panel front line with some Falcon fans who also travel. They spend their money on the Falcons. They want to talk Falcons football with One Time for the Fan. So we're going to get them in the chat here on the stream Monday, and Sunday night we'll go ahead and announce those names. But please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, because there's something special going on Monday that involves the Atlanta Falcons, and it might involve One Time for the Fan too. That damn Patron is hitting. Once again, I repeat, please subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss nothing going forward. This season is going to be big. How big? It's going to be real big. Fucking through the roof. But once again, you don't want to miss. Kenneth said, is Raheem's press conference scheduled? We know. But if you follow One Time for the Fan, Facebook, YouTube, social media, you might see a little bit more on Monday. Once again, I told y'all One Time for the Fan is out here. We outside, man. Like, we outside, man. You know what it is. Apple Podcast, Spotify. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. You don't want to miss Sunday's show, and you don't want to miss Monday. We'll talk to y'all at another time. Rise up to everybody.